Hi Colette, my name is Tony and I'm 22 and I just watched your video on bullying and bullying has a very close part in my life because throughout school um, from grade 1 to grade 12 um, I was bullied severely. Um, I was in elementary school. I was friends with a girl, and we were best friends. And then summer break happened, and all of a sudden, when school started again, we were like rivals, and all she wanted to do was make my life miserable. And she called me Four Eyes. Um, I have worn glasses since the age of 2. Um, my eye, my left eye, um, turned, or used to, I had it corrected when I was 7. It still does it when I'm really tired, but it used to turn in, and that was because the muscles in my eye were too long, so they had to shorten them. But anyway, I've had to wear glasses since I was 2, and in elementary school, I live in a small town, and the elementary school that I went to was a really small school, and I was the only one in my school that wore glasses, and that made me completely susceptible to bullying. And I'll never forget in grade 2, my grade 2 teacher, she was amazing, and I'm still in contact with her to this day. And one day she made this club. She wore glasses too. She was older and she wore glasses too. And she made this club and she called it the Four Eyes Club. And it was me and her and one other the teachers. We all wore glasses, so we all kind of had this like little club. And the next day at school, my bully tried wore her sunglasses to school to try and get in the group so that she could, continue to bully me or whatever. Um, that year the bullying wasn't so bad, but then once I left her class, it got bad again. And I always went to the principal and told the principal, and my parents went to the principal, and my parents basically told that the school would handle it, and they never did. And I could never figure out why my parents just kind of, I felt like they just kind of stood by and just let it happen. And then once I got into middle school, I was just so beaten down by that time from the bully. I went to a different school than I was supposed to go to. Kids from the elementary school that I went to were supposed to go to a specific middle school. My parents decided to not send me to that middle school because the person who was bullying me, the girl who was bullying me, was going to that school, and they didn't want me, you know, to be hurt by her anymore. So they sent me to a different school, which just made me susceptible to other bullies, and I got bullied all through middle school by a lot of popular kids. I was, you know, I was a bit of a geek in school and, kept to myself and didn't have very many friends. I still don't have, I still only have like a handful of friends that I really talk to like on a regular basis. And it just made me like more, susceptible to bullying. So anyway, um, and also the fact that I was allergic to scents, I still am. I get severe, severe headaches from if I'm like exposed to scents for a long time, especially perfume, cologne, um, and that sort of thing. Um, So, yeah, and then in high school, um, it continued. Basically, people hated me because I would tell the teachers. I would go to the teachers and tell them, okay, so and so is wearing perfume. And, the teacher would talk to them and they would get mad because, they got called out for wearing perfume. And all of our schools were non-scented, non-scent schools. And people would still wear perfume and that kind of stuff. And I can remember whenever I would go to gym class, I would just feel absolutely sick as soon as like I went into the change room because the smell of perfume would be overwhelming. And to get to the way you got to the gym was you went through the hallway where the guys' changing rooms were, and that was even worse because there'd be the smell of Axe and like cologne, and it was awful. And um, you know, girls would come up to me and be like, "Well, why do you rat us out? And you're such a tattletale and blah blah blah." And I can remember one day I was going to my locker. I remember a specific situation. And one of the girls that I ratted out on a regular basis for her wearing perfume, she had a locker close to mine, and she put her leg up so that I'd trip, and she goes, "Enjoyed your trip?" And I just kind of looked at her, and like I didn't say anything because by that time I was just so beaten down that like I didn't know how to respond anymore. And about after middle school, I never really told my parents about my bullying because I just felt like they didn't care about it. So I just kept it in and I kept it in. And it led to after high school, sorry, me being um in a really bad relationship um with a guy who abused me both um emotionally and sexually. And thank goodness I got away when I did because it was starting to turn physical as well. And I never went to the police or anything. I couldn't tell my family till a year after because I was so ashamed and um, just completely broken and didn't know how to deal with it. And my best friend just stood idly by and let it happen right under his nose. And just, I can't understand why somebody who calls themselves your best friend could let that happen. And then when you tell them what happened, they tell you that, oh, it's not sexual abuse if you want it. I never wanted any of the stuff my ex did to me. I never. It's still hard to talk about, and that's been two, two, 3 years. Yeah, 3 years, almost 4. And it's still hard to talk about. Um, I see my ex every once in a while in town, and I pretty much want to kill him for what he did to me. Um, I remember I told my mom what happened. I was sitting, I can remember that day so perfectly. We were sitting, I went to the after high school, I went to the local university here. And I was in second year. This happened first. I was in second year, and I remember it was end of second semester. It was just before exams were to begin. I remember mom coming over. I was living in residence, and I had made the choice um, after first half of second year or first year to move out. And I moved in with this boyfriend, and that's when the abuse started. Pardon me. We moved in with a friend and with my best friend and his fiance, and of course him. And and yeah. So and that's like I said, that's when the abuse started. And so I remember going back to when I was with my mom. Um, I remember sitting there with her on a bench in front of my residence. I remember us talking about my relationship with my ex. And I said, Mom, there's something I haven't told you about my relationship with my ex. And she said, What? And I said, I burst out crying. And I said, I just blurted it out. I said, he sexually abused me. And I said, and he emotionally abused me. And it was starting to get to the point where I honestly thought he would hit me. He would come home some nights. He was a drunk, and he used to get high and he used to get drunk. And he would come home and he would drink and get high at our apartment too. But I specifically remember he would go and get high and drunk after work to cope with the stress of his job. And he'd come home and he'd have this absolute look of rage in his eyes. And I know if my best friend hadn't been there, he would have hit me. Because I know if he would have hit me in front of my best friend at the time, we're no longer best friends for the reasons I said before. Um so because I know if he had hit me when my with uh now I can't talk when my best friend was there, my best friend would have hit him back because my best friend at that time didn't believe in hitting women. Um, so anyway, and I remember my mom just looking at me, and she just started, she just broke down and cried with me, and I remember I went to supper. They invited me to go to supper with them that night, so I did. And I remember Mom and I had a moment where we were alone, and I said, "Did you tell Did you tell Dad?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, what was his reaction?" And she said, "He just broke down and cried. He felt so bad for you, and he was mad, and he wanted to, he wanted to hurt my ex for what he did to me, which any father would want to do when somebody hurts their baby girl. I'm an only child, and and he I was I am, I should say, his world, and both me and my mom are, and I think it's really hard for a man to go through that, to have the women in his life hurt. And I kind of know this because with Dad, um, now this is getting into a whole different like subject. Um, if I would cry, he would get, he gets, if I cry, he gets upset. He doesn't like to see me cry. He doesn't like to see me hurt. So, um, I can completely understand why he wanted to hurt my ex, 'cause I was hurting, and he didn't, and he doesn't like it when I hurt. So anyway, I know this story is kind of all over the place, and I saw this, and I thought I just wanted to share my story with you, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Okay, bye.